pumping like nobody's business. I know, another Friends to Lovers. What a surprise. This is what I wanted to happen. Kennedy Ryan 8 again. Maybe if I just moved from Texas out to the West Coast, my life would be much happier. I read 12 books in the month of February. Let's talk about them. Hey, how y'all doing? Before we get into it, I would just like to say thank you for 200 subscribers. Now, I'm not good with taking compliments. I'm not good with showing affection or gratitude, and I'm not good with words when they're positive. So the best I can do right now is just a big ol' thank you. Just a big ol' thank you. I was gonna start this channel back in 2023 when I thought I had more time, and then I abandoned it fully. And by the end of that year, there was 100 of y'all over here that decided to stay and put up with me, and now 100 more of y'all came over to put up with me, so thank you. So let's get back into the video. I did read 12 books in the month of February. Storygraph might say 13, but that's only because somebody had the great idea, the greatest idea, to add Miss Risa Tisa's whole 8-hour story into Storygraph. And of course, I put that on my reading wrap-up because it counts. I spent a good 8 hours watching all those videos. It counts. And let's just say that's my audiobook read of the year, because I don't really do audiobooks, but Miss Risa had me hooked. I started that thing from 8 p.m. one night, stopped at part 20, went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and finished the rest of the series promptly by 2 p.m. And all I gotta say is, Miss Risa, you will always be famous. I hope you enjoy your trips overseas, and you get you a BMW, and you turn your story into a book, and you keep it far away from Tyler Perry and far away from Shonda Rhimes. One thing's for certain, Tyler Perry's gonna turn that story, and Jill Scott will play Risa. They gonna add Medea in it somehow. Medea's probably gonna play Miss Risa's auntie, and there will be a light-skinned hero to come and save Miss Risa instead of her saving herself. And if you gave it to Shonda Rhimes, the hero would be a white man. Keep those two far away from Miss Risa. Far away, you hear me? But back into all the books that I actually read. I read 12 books, all of them romance. 2 of them I made into reading vlog series, so if you didn't watch that, then I'll just summarize them here, or you could just go watch those. There's a playlist. We're gonna start off with the first book series that I read in the month of February. I read the Rise and Fall series by Ive Wanted. To summarize it, loved it. Loved the entire thing, loved it. I've had these books sitting on my shelf for months, and I finally got into reading them. Out of the entire series, my favorite book was A Worthy Love. That one was so cute. The entire series follows this group of 3 friends who are really into yoga, and they're all in their early 20s, just, you know, getting their lives together. We follow Harlow, Marissa, and Quinn. The first book, All I've Wanted, All I've Needed, follows Harlow and Asen. Harlow had just recently broke up with her longtime best friend / boyfriend, and she's really going through the motions, feeling like she's wasted a lot of her life focusing on him rather than on herself. And her besties are like, hey girlie, you want to go on this little yoga retreat? Come learn how to do yoga, be a yoga instructor. And then she's like, for sure. And on that yoga retreat, one comes up to her and says like, hey, I got a yoga studio up in Seattle. You wanna come be a yoga instructor over there? I'll give you a job. She's like, for sure. So she picks up everything and moves from Texas to Seattle, where she makes a few friends, and then she meets Asen. Ace is a tattoo artist, and you know, they're sitting there, they're getting to know each other. Meanwhile, Harlow's ex is being a weirdo the entire time, incredibly possessive despite the fact that y'all are broken up, just a full-time creep. Very intimidated by Asen. Very intimidated by Ace. When Harlow and Asen meet, they start spending a lot more time together, building up this friendship. You know I love a good friends to lovers. And overall, the book is relatively short, so it was just a really cute short read. Next book in the series is Colliding with Fate. And this one, it just felt so chaotic to me for no other reason, just that I felt like there was a lot going on. And that's my fault. For one, not reading the back, and number 2, not realizing it was a billionaire romance. If I knew that going in, then I would be like, oh, that's why this is so chaotic. Because I feel like most of the billionaire romances I read are very chaotic. Now, most of those being Anna Huang, so that just seems like that's just her niche. But this just felt like it was just a lot of drama. I felt like I was watching a soap opera. I felt like I was reading a soap. We follow Quinn and Kyrell. A lot of this book is really just following Kyrell and all of his issues. We meet Kyrell in the first book, and he just seemed really chill and friendly. Like, he owns a dispensary, and he was a really good friend to Harlow, despite him also being friends with Harlow's ex. Well, now ex-friends with Harlow's ex, because that guy's a weirdo. But in this book, it felt like Kyrell's personality just took like a whole 180. Despite the fact that we do see little of him and all I've wanted, all I've needed, I see enough of him to be like, oh, I like this guy. Then you get to his book, I'm like, do I like this guy? Kyrell is a son of billionaire parents that are incredibly neglectful, but he made a life for himself outside of that, and he's a bit of a player, you know. Kyrell gets a call from his parents saying that they want to spend more time with him, and the only reason why is because his dad is dying. His dad has an illness. He is on his last few months to live. So Kyrell has to make that decision of whether or not he wants to spend more time with his absent father. Kyrell experienced a lot of abuse in his childhood that his father just kind of brushed to the side. Abuse at the hands of his mother that his father just kind of brushed to the side and didn't really pay attention to. On the flip side, we have Quinn, who comes from rich parents. Quinn just graduated nursing school and is moving out to California to become a nurse. It has really judgmental parents, mainly on the mother's side. The mother's like, but when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna find a man? When are you gonna get married? And she's like, I literally just graduated nursing school. Is that not good enough for you? I want to get my master's. Like, what are we doing? Meanwhile, her brother is really accomplished in her parents' eyes, so there's that whole dynamic. She moves out to California, where Kyrell is, and they start spending more time together. They're clearly very attracted to each other, and they start a very friends with benefits type of relationship. The reason why this book felt so chaotic to me is because we get, surprise pregnancy. Didn't appreciate that at all. Actually, I didn't want that at all. So it did get a lower ranking for me because it just, I don't even remember if that type of foreshadowing was happening and I just wasn't paying attention. But Quinn's all like, yeah, I got my life together. I'm getting my apartment. I got this job. I'm probably going to get a new job that pays more money and then I'm gonna go to grad school and blah.
That guy in a movie who's definitely about to be hit by a bus.
Top of the world. Nothing's gonna stop us at all. Fucker almost hit me with a car. Anyways.
Then, boom, pregnant. Now, should I be surprised? No, because they was porking. And I said, they was humping like nobody's business throughout this entire book. And I was like, can we calm down? You don't need to do that. Like, we can't just watch a movie. We can't just watch TV, cuddle. Y'all gotta do it every time you see each other. I'm concerned. Just a little bit. Just a little concerned. Again? Why are we going again? You just did it over there. Why? Every chapter? It felt like every chapter. And I'm not one to not like spice in a book. This was just a lot. It just felt like a lot. So no wonder she gets pregnant. No wonder. With Colliding with Fate, I just really wanted to see more of Quinn's life outside of Kyrell. I know majority of the book is about Kyrell, but I just really want to see her life outside of that. Like, it felt like the resolution with her family issues just wasn't enough for me. I needed more. I needed more of just her going to work or finding a new job or getting that new job, or what happens in the book where, because Kylo's father is like on bed rest and needs like a nurse at home, and she becomes that at-home nurse. I really wanted to see more of that process rather than just be like, a surprise, she's all here all the time now. Like, I don't know. Was my favorite. And between Colliding with Fate and the last book in the series, there is a little novella, The Beginning of Forever, with Harlow and Asen, where they're just like going through wedding planning stuff. And it's not even that controversial. It's just like, we got a mother that just wants to be all a part of the wedding plans and wants it all to be this thing. Meanwhile, Harlow and Asen are just like, I just want to get married and I don't care where it is or when it happens. I just want to get married. But I did find that novella really cute. The last book in the series, A Worthy Love. I loved A Worthy Love. That book goes right up there with Hookshot by Kennedy Ryan as one of my favorite books ever. Like, that's on the reread list for sure. A Worthy Love follows Marissa and Asher. Asher is one of Asen's friends that we meet in All I've Wanted, All I've Needed. And Asher, again, gives very much player energy. But in A Worthy Love, we're on a Las Vegas trip, bachelorette party type thing. And Marissa, being the free-spirited yogi that she is, goes up to Asher and tells him, like, we should get married in Vegas one day and then get an annulment the next day. So spontaneous. And Asher's like, sure, I'm down. And they do it, and they hook up, and it's this whole thing. But then Asher's, like, being a dick about them hooking up. Asher's being an a-hole about, like, their whole hookup thing, and blah, blah, blah. But on Marissa's side, she's currently going through a lot. Marissa was in a relationship with this man, and she thought it was a beautiful relationship. And then she finds out that that man is married, whole wife, and kids. And now, due to that experience, she's going through it. Baby girl's going through a lot. After the whole getting married in Vegas secretly thing happens, and they get their annulment, everybody goes back home. Marissa has a yoga studio out in Oregon. They got a smoothie bar. She's living her life. Meanwhile, Asher also has to be in the same area that Marissa is for work. And Asher, oh man, does he want to be near Marissa? He want to be near Marissa real bad. Real bad. Real bad to the point where she needs roommates. And he's like, I'll live with you. I will live with you. I want to be your roommate. While Marissa and Asher are spending a lot of time together, that man that Marissa was with won't leave her alone. Whole wife, whole kids will not leave this woman alone. The whole dynamic gets so intense to the point where we have a pregnancy scare, not surprise pregnancy, no keeping and no baby. We have a pregnancy scare, but Asher is with her throughout the entire process. And you know how I love a good friends to lovers. They just spend a lot more time together. They also have this weird little friends with benefits ting going on, but I thought their entire dynamic was really cute. One thing I love is when the love interest takes care of the MC, and there's a lot of that in this book. Also, Asher cooks. Asher has a lovely family that owns a ranch, and they have horses, and that's what I want. I want a ranch in the middle of nowhere with a few horses, and I'll just live my life. I thought this book was really cozy and cute. What I've learned from the Rise and Fall series is maybe if I just moved from Texas out to the West Coast, my life would be much happier. A lot of the characters in this book just leave Texas. They just leave, and they're much better off for it. And you know what? Got me thinking. I was born in the West Coast, and then we came to the South. It might be time to go back. It might be time to go back to the West Coast. Just saying. Now, the next book I read was One More Shot by Anise Starr. Still don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. Someone tell me. This is the last book in her series Flights and Feelings, where we follow Dane and Elliot. Dane is Bailey's sibling from the first book in the series, and this book is giving second chance romance. Dane and Elliot meet years prior at like a failed one-night stand. Although it seemed like the ending was very amicable, Elliot's a bit embarrassed. Why? Because during that one-night stand, Elliot, she just wasn't feeling it, if you know what I mean. If you get my drift. And Dane was like, oh, that's cool. Well, see you around. And they do see each other around because Dane's sister is getting married and she hired Elliot to be their wedding photographer. Dane, who's still very attracted to Elliot, is like wanting to spend more time with her. Meanwhile, she's lying to herself saying that we could just be friends. And we all know how that goes. Again, friends to lovers, who surprised no one. Another fun, sweet, cozy romance for the book. I did give it 5 stars. I'm very predictable like that. Next, I read 6 books by the author Sean. One of the books was gifted, and I read this novella series called the Kingstown Novellas. We have the first book, His Majesty. The second book is Midnight. The third book is Yours, and the fourth book is Cravings. If you didn't watch my 24-hour reading vlog where I read all those in one go, go ahead and watch that. First novella was a second chance romance between this rich couple, Majesty and Josiah. Majesty's like, I want more romance from you. And Josiah's like, you know I don't do romance before we got together. She's like, okay, bye. And it's a second chance romance, and it's really short. It's only 10 chapters. He gets his act together. They get back together. Second book follows Tyler and Midnight, where Tyler and Midnight are a part of the same type of friend group. They've been hooking up a few times. And Midnight's like, I'm trying to treat you right, girl. Midnight cooks. Midnight is a chef. He owns a restaurant. And Tyler's like, I don't know. Like, girl, just get over yourself. And she does. And it's short, and they get together. Yours is the third novella. We follow Tyler's twin sister, Ryan, and this guy named Bash, who in the same town owns a tattoo parlor. Tyler and Ryan own a beauty salon. Ryan and Bash meet at book club, and they've been friends, you know. And again, another short novella where he is taking care of her because she has a migraine, and he like catches her on the sidewalk and be like, don't worry, you don't have to drive with all those blinding lights while you have a migraine. I'll take you home, and gets her all these nice things to help with her migraine, and they spend time together, and it's just really cute and cozy. The fourth novella in the series is Cravings, where we follow Zariah and Gabe. Gabe is the brother of Bash. Zariah is the sister of Josiah and Midnight. Zariah owns a bakery, and Gabe is a university professor. And throughout all the other novellas, you see in the background that everybody well, mainly Josiah, is asking around about Zariah's boyfriend that she won't tell him about. And in this novella, we follow the development of Zariah and Gabe from the beginning to end, where she's finally like, fine, I'll share him around my family. But again, another really cute short novella. The last 2 books I read by Sean were Unconditional and Untouchable. I thought these books would be in the same series just because the covers both look similar, but they're not. The covers are just both pretty. Unconditional is a kind of second chance romance where we follow Charlie and Damien. Charlie and Damien were hookup buddies, and then Damien wanted more. Charlie felt that she wasn't good enough, so they break up. It's now years later, and Damien's back in town, and so they develop their friendship back up again and get back together. I know, another friends to lovers. What a surprise. Anyway, I thought this was really adorable. The last book I read, Untouchable, follows Tallulah and Pierre. Now, Tallulah, a whole mess. A whole spoiled mess. Which, obviously she would be, because her boyfriend of several years said, hey, baby, I'm gonna go on a fishing trip. He goes on his fishing trip. A few days later, she opens Instagram. Oh, just married. They ain't even stepped off the altar yet. Those two are married. He is married, ring and everything, tux, white dress, whole venue, to a woman she's never even knew existed. To a woman she never even knew was in their space. She had no idea. Poor baby girl. Poor Tallulah. So she goes to her bestie, Pierre, for comfort. And then they come up with the genius idea. The genius idea. Let's do our friends with benefits, because that's gonna work. And then during that friends with benefits, Pierre's like, I'm in love with you. And baby girl's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go on dates still, and I'm just gonna hook up with you when I need to. Is that cool? That's cool? All right, cool. No, that's not cool. That's not cool, Tallulah, at all. It's not cool. Now, how this story goes is just Pierre is getting sick and tired. Okay? He's getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. He wants to be with Tallulah, and Tallulah is not allowing herself to have that type of love. She don't think she deserves love. Why? Well, obviously the ex-boyfriend, Ting, and him going off and getting married, but also her mother did abandon her. So she's got issues, okay? Most people just need to go talk to somebody. This is where in a video you would see a BetterHelp ad, but screw BetterHelp. We don't mess with BetterHelp over here. In the story, Pierre is presented the possibility of moving out of town for work, where he would then be away from Tallulah, and him and Tallulah are in a fight around that same time. In the plot of the book, does he leave? No. But he doesn't really leave. They make up though, and eventually get together, and then it's happily ever after, yay. This is what I wanted to happen. I wanted him to take the opportunity to leave. To just go to Tallulah and be like, okay, I'm ending this friends with benefits relationship out of respect of himself, and then to just go and leave for work or whatever, and then maybe Tallulah that time goes to therapy, realizes she can accept love and be loved, and then go find Pierre, and they rekindle a relationship and get together. That's what I would have wanted. That's what I would have wanted. Out of respect for Pierre, that's what I wanted to happen in the plot. But if it happened my way, the book would be 400 pages long, and instead of 200 something. So instead, she tries to end the friends with benefits. He's like, no. And then they get into a fight, and then they make up later and that. I feel like my way would have been better. Would have been a better story. We all can get what we want. Now onto the last book that I read in the month of February. I was gifted this arc by the lovely Read Forever Pub and the lovely Miss Kennedy Ryan herself. Hey girl, hey. Thank you. And I loved it. I loved it. Kennedy Ryan ate again. Kennedy Ryan ate again. She can do no wrong. She can do no wrong in my eyes. I'm just kidding. But I'm not though. It was really good. This book is the sequel in the Skyland series. The first book is Before I Let Go. The next book is This Could Be Us. This Could Be Us follows Soledad after her husband, he was being messy with his company's finances, and they put him in jail.
Right to jail, right away.
They put him straight to jail, straight to prison, actually. It's your whole classic, a little bit of embezzle, a little bit of cheating, all that, And now, after that, Soledad is now stuck with trying to figure out how her, as a stay-at-home mom, is going to take care of their 3 children, because kids are expensive. Living is expensive. She's got to learn how to pick herself up by her bootstraps and provide for not only her but her family, as she is alone in this time. Meanwhile, she's got a bit of feelings. She's got a bit of heart palpitations for a man named Mr. Judah Cross. Who was Judah Cross? The accountant that found out that Soledad's husband was messing with their funds. He real good at math. He real good at math. And him and Soledad are feeling a little spark, little connection. But it's weird, because how would you feel doing the do with the man who put your husband in jail? How would your children feel about you doing the do with the man that put their daddy in prison? It's messy. It's messy. A lot of this book is Soledad learning a lot about herself and being one with herself. So in good Kennedy Ryan fashion, we watch our main character going through a transformation, a healing journey. I saw this argument happening on Twitter the other day. Not even an argument. I saw somebody saying on Twitter the other day why this book isn't labeled as women's fiction, which a lot of Kennedy Ryan's books, I would personally label them as women's fiction, although Goodreads or any type of website or any type of marketing isn't going to label them as women's fiction. But we're watching a character go through so much and heal from the experiences that they had. Like in this book, we're watching Soledad heal and learn how to be with herself, and knowing that she's able to have that self-sustainability and thinking that she couldn't get back up on her feet, but she could. And it was a very lovely read. But yeah, those were the 13 books that I read in February, and now we're gonna move on to March TBR. It's not really a March TBR, but these are the books that I'm gonna get into next, that you might see a video from me in the near future, where I'm gonna be reading the oldest books on my TBR. I have about 16 of them, and these are books that I purchased between probably the ages of like 11 and 14, when I thought I would be reading them much more, and I didn't, and then they just stayed on my shelf, and I was like, I'll get to them eventually. Never did. I just do not be judgmental of itty bitty Ebony. Okay? Itty bitty Ebony didn't have a lot of choices of characters that were melanated by melanated people. Don't you judge me. So that's gonna be my March through April, maybe leaning into May TBR. I have my trusty jar here to pick and choose which ones I'm gonna read and which ones I won't. I will alternate between this jar and my Black Author jar throughout that time, and then eventually I'll have a video on that. That is the end of this month's reading wrap up. I hope you enjoyed some of it. I hope it was coherent. What did you read this month? How many books did you read this month? Which books did you like? Which books did you hate? Did you read any of the books that I read? Which of those did you like? Which of those did you hate? Would you read any of the books that I recommend? Would you read any of the books that I recommend in this video? And are you excited for This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan? Are you excited for that release date? I am. Also, I'm so excited for Hendrix's book that's gonna come out next year, because I love Hendrix. I love a comedic relief character. Anyway, that's the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!